Live from our homes, it's the One and Done Show. With us as well, I'm Hardwood Rob, and from his home, it's Marcus Fuller from the Star Tribune,
Hey,
and Ryan James with his amazing White Men Can't Jump shirt.
Hey,
Just outstanding, just outstanding.
I do
Uh,
like it.
Billy Hoyle.
how's everybody doing? How are you guys holding up from your homes?
Oh, it's not bad. I think obviously Ryan can attest to it as being a teacher, that it's different times, trying to distance learn. I don't know what age group you've got, Ryan. I can't remember, but I know every day is a challenge trying to get my kids to make sure they at least spend a few hours of the day doing some schoolwork.
I have K through 7. The distance learning. Let's be honest here. Like it's so much easier to teach 1-1 than it is like one of groups of 1 and 4. And then I have some kids who are a little violent, so I'm not getting hit this spring. So that's positive, right? But you do miss the kids. The tough thing we have at home, we have 4 kids. One of them is 1 years old. One of them has Down syndrome, and she has a 1-to-1 pair. Well, she doesn't have a 1-to-1 pair in our house when she's trying to learn. So then because we have 2 other kids and a baby, so it's tough on the wife. But you know, we're making the best of it. We're making the best of it. It hasn't been that bad. We're not in people that are in a tough situation like others. So I don't have any pity or tough stories to offer.
I'm just happy to get out of the house for an hour or so every couple of weeks just to hit the grocery store. Just an hour at Hy-Vee is like a breath of fresh air.
Shoot, I wish I could go to Hy-Vee. I'm going to Walmart.
Dude, Costco once a week. But we also have our local Macathoons. Really solid, really solid.
You know what's really disappointing is you can't find. I don't have a basketball hoop in my driveway. You cannot find a portable basketball hoop anywhere right now. They're all gone. Everybody bought them.
Interesting. We got one. We got a tiny one for Jack. But yeah, nothing good for outside. But luckily we have like courts all around the neighborhood that we can go shoot at, which we will probably do today because Emma wants to shoot. So I want to shoot. I want to get some shots up too.
Man, that would be amazing. Today's a perfect day for it.
Mm-hmm.
Marks, do you gotta pause real quick?
Yeah, I think I have to do real quick.
All right, well, I can.
That's good chat. I want to talk about
You
that
want
too.
to wait? You want to?
Okay. Start it.
All right. So what are we going to talk about today, fellas? You want to talk about something that's going on now? I know there's some kids that are committing to schools or maybe opening enrollments. I've seen some stuff on that lately. Do we want to get into that? Do we want to?
They reopened there's a kid that just reopened his recruitment like yesterday. But I figure we catch up just,
Have a little fun chowder to start things off?
Yeah, a little fun, we got no basketball, we got no sports going on. I mean, like, what are you guys?
The Last Dance? You want to start with The Last Dance?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Yep.
All right, so big takeaways from The Last Dance. Something favorite episode so far. Like, kick it anywhere you want to go.
Yeah. All right.
Episode 4. Like the first 3 grabbed me, but number 4, like that had me consumed because I gotta write this out a little bit. I'm gonna go through 10 seconds. 1985, first basketball game. The Bulls versus the Hawks, I'm certain, on TBS. Jordan couldn't play. And I'm this sorry little kid who felt sorry for everybody. I'm like, why can't that guy play? I thought it was 20 minutes. Apparently it was 14. So I became a Jordan fan because he couldn't play extensively. So like I remember getting the Bulls shirt at Christmas the next year. I remember wearing Bulls sweatpants 3 days a week to school. I was all in the Bulls. Like I remember running around in the house, outside when they won the championship, like thinking everyone else should be out here too. Are you kidding? The Bulls just won the championship. But no,
I was like anti-Jordan.
It was just me. But like
I was anti-Jordan.
But that episode number 4 had brought it all back. Like, here, I got to show you this. I got so excited that I had to go.
See,
I got this out. And, like, this has got.
Wow.
I think I do. I think I have that.
Dude, it's got all, like.
I did at one point.
Man, I got so excited with those episodes. Like, and, like, to see one of my fun takeaways, the discussion. Oh, I have that one too.
Yeah.
One of the fun discussions is the hate that Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons have. They will never, ever, ever, ever admit that Jordan's the best ever because that's the rivalry of it. But that's kind of that part got me really excited. And then when they talked about the Pistons walking off, and the expressions on the Bulls' faces, like when Horace Grant, when he's just like straight up bitches. Like,
That's way overblown. That's way overblown. I think at that time,
damn
you know,
it.
what the Bulls had said before, you know, before that happened, before they walked off, I felt like that was even more incendiary for Jordan to say and not give any respect to the Pistons. I mean, come on, the Bad Boys era, they were the most dominant team in the NBA at that time. Not to give them the respect they deserved. I understand, you know, they were a physical team. That was the physical era. You know, I mean, there's no hand checking, right? I mean, obviously, no blood, no foul.
It was bully ball.
I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, I feel like the Pistons got a bad rap for being the most physical team in the NBA, and in a time where I feel like every team that was a championship quality or level team, you know, you had to get to that point and play it that physical to move on. I mean, there's no way, there's no way around it. I mean, I feel like the Pistons started kind of that type of basketball in order to win at that level. Defense wins championships.
I feel like there's a number of reasons why it makes sense that the NBA sort of cast them as the black sheep for those stretch of years that after the Lakers and the Celtics were dominating, and then before the Bulls took over in the 90s. It sort of made sense. They were the bad boys. They had to be cast as villains. But something Isaiah pointed out on that episode about how the Celtics had done it before, they walked off and didn't shake hands. You know, I don't know if being a poor sport is necessarily, you could just write it off and say, well, that's the way things were. That's how we did it. But it definitely makes sense. You know, the Celtics are the NBA's golden boys since the birth of the league. You know, they're not going to cast aspersions on that franchise. They're definitely going to hit the bad boys, though. The Pistons, and they earned that rep. I mean, those guys were nasty when you got. I mean, you saw those hits Mike took, grabbing them by the faces and stuff like that. That was ugly basketball.
The crazy part is that
Pippen into the stands, like, but those were just examples. If you go back and see, there are people that have.
There's
videos,
a lot of teams that played like that,
but they had people that have videos like the stuff was even worse than that. But the walking off, like the Pistons, the Pistons used the Celtics things as an excuse. Like, oh, the Celtics did it, so we're gonna do it. No, they did that to disrespect them. You know that. I know that.
For sure.
All know that.
For
it was
sure.
straight
disrespect.
disrespect.
And like I said, it was leading up to that. The way Jordan dismissed the Pistons championship, he basically said they didn't really earn it because of the way they played it, and they were bad for basketball. Well, to me, I mean, Jordan was trying to obviously send a message to the Celtics going into, you know, that game, and somehow get them rattled. And I feel like it might have worked. I mean, you know, they had no chance in that series. I mean, I was surprised at how easily the Bulls, you know, swept them in that series. And I feel like a lot of that had to do with the fact that, you know, Isaiah Thomas, I think he's come out at this point and said that was kind of the end of their era, as far as, you know, maybe they were the Bulls, you know, might have not needed them at that time to get to where they needed to go.
I don't know, man.
You know,
after Mike,
I feel like the year before.
After the year before, put on that weight and got strong.
No, the year before, right? I feel like the year before, that was the Pistons team that really took the Bulls to where they needed to go. You know, that following year, that was a totally different Pistons team.
Shouldn't Mike give them more credit then? Shouldn't Mike at least, like, tip his hat and say, hey, you know, I was cast into the fire. They put it to me, and they made me the monster that I became. Like, to a certain degree, right? Like, if the Pistons hadn't have been the bad boys, he wouldn't have hit the gym and gotten tough and then basically flat out dominated every opponent from there on out, right?
But that's how he explained it, didn't you? Like, I think that's how he explained it. I needed to get tougher. Our team needed to get tougher. And let's not forget, Scottie Pippen doesn't get a migraine. Pistons may have only had one championship.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. They dominated that game.
They
Pippen could have been back.
There's no Pippen.
Pippen could have been back.
Game,
but Pippen, I understand that. But Pippen, I think, you know, obviously he was a different player. He was a different player the following year, just like Jordan was a different player the following year.
Do you think Jordan holds the same grudge against, like, Joe Dumars?
No.
Or, like,
Not at all.
Because obviously with Scotty or with Dennis, like they played together, they won championships together. But he just holds Isaiah like to set with such.
Well, Rodman
Yeah.
obviously was a teammate. Rodman was a teammate of his.
Two of them they hold grudges against. Bill
Bill
Laimbeer
Laimbeer.
and Isaiah Thomas. Maybe Mark McGuire too. But that's about it. That's about
Lambeer
it.
sucks. I'm sorry, Lambeer sucks.
Everybody hates Laimbeer.
Everybody hates it. He sucks.
It's like everybody hates Christian Laettner
The best,
for taking away Shaq's spot on the Dream Team.
Man,
the best part of that thing, though, is the honesty that all these guys share. Like Ron couldn't guard Jordan, though the look on his face, the honesty and like just the openness of this thing is fantastic, and it's going to get better. I just wonder how are they going to handle the death of James Jordan? How are they going to handle the gambling? How are they going to handle the year and what is the second year he missed like 80% of the year? How are they going to handle all that? It'll be interesting to see how open, because they filmed this with Michael Jordan's such consent. How open will Michael be on all that? He's been pretty open so far. So, and he makes me want to drink whiskey every single time I watch the show. So not cigars. I never smoked a cigar, but whiskey, yes.
I have to say that the Pistons winning a championship over the Blazers, I hated the Pistons so much at that time that actually made me a Portland Trail Blazers fan because I wanted to see them get beat. And I've been a Portland fan ever since. So actually with this next episode coming up this weekend when they're playing the Blazers in the championship and he's got that rivalry with Clyde the Glide, man, I'm gonna have to bring a box of tissues for that one because
can you name right now?
That was a tough one for me.
Right now, name
Starting five: Terry Porter,
Go ahead.
Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Kevin Duckworth, and
Nice.
I think Buck Williams was the power forward.
When did Cliff Robinson
Maybe.
join that
And
team?
they had Danny Ainge coming off the bench. They had Cliff Robinson coming off the bench. That was my team, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Who are the other
pretty
guards? Who are the other guards?
So they had Terry Porter, right? They had Danny Ainge on that team.
Danny Ainge. Damn, Danny Ainge is on every team. Son of a
Obviously,
bitch.
Clyde.
Dude,
Kevin
Danny
Duckworth
Robert-
was my guy.
Danny Ainge was Robert Horry and Steve Kerr before there was a Robert Horry and a Steve Kerr,
Mhm.
just jumping on teams about to go after championships.
Yeah, no doubt.
People forget he was on that Celtics team that might have been the best Celtics team ever.
Oh, dude, that's some people. I was watching this morning. I was watching a Washington versus Arizona game from this past year, looking at Jaden McDaniels and Arizona guys and Isaiah Stewart, just kind of seeing what they're like as the draft approaches, if whatever happens with that.
The
But,
Wolves
like,
won't pick
Bill-
them. They won't. Just watch.
But Bill Walton was talking about how Danny Ainge should be in the Hall of Fame, and at first I scoffed, but then I thought about it as all the things that Danny Ainge has done in basketball, he probably should be in the Hall of Fame. And as a player, executive, the whole thing, he probably should be.
People don't realize how good of an athlete he was actually too, because he was drafted in Major League Baseball as well.
I think he was at BYU, if I'm not mistaken.
BYU, yeah. But if you look at The Last Dance, what I enjoy most is watching it with my son, who he knows these players, but like I don't think he knew how good Dennis Rodman was. I don't think he knew how good Scottie Pippen was. Obviously these guys, I think obviously Pippen is a Hall of Famer. Dennis Rodman is one of the best rebounders of all time. But just to see them in their element and then talking about them, what they meant to these Bulls teams, even Phil Jackson.
Mhm.
Like how many kids, like young kids, actually like know how good certain coaches were, like legendary coaches. They don't really know. They're about players. They're all about players.
Or even seeing a little background about Phil, like seeing him,
Mhm.
win in New York. Like the Knicks
That he
had
was a player,
only
yeah.
won
Like,
2 championships. You know what I mean? And he was there.
And I
Like,
was
that's
tripping
wild.
on acid,
Yeah.
he said. Like,
So, do you watch the bleep version? Do you watch the censored version with your son, or do you watch the uncensored version?
there's so many F-bombs. What was that, episode 2? I was shocked, man. I was like, oh.
It is literally the best that they have the
Yeah.
uncensored version on
Mhm.
ESPN. I think that's outstanding. So who's going to be on this weekend? They're going to get into that All-Star game and talk about MJ's relationship
Yeah, I'm looking
with
forward
one
to that
Kobe
one, too.
Bean.
I don't know. I have a hard time watching like a whole game of the Lakers during that era. I just still have a hard time watching the whole game. I just watch
Hold on.
highlights.
How you can't
Yes.
watch a whole dude? The thing I was gonna say is I hope that this entices people. Like, okay, Alex Conover works with us at Prep Hoops, right? Alex is in his early 30s. He said when Jordan was retiring, he was 10. So he even got people in their 30s probably didn't see Jordan play a legit game in his prime. So I hope it kind of gets
That's
people
crazy.
to look. Yeah, I hope it gets people to look at YouTube, to see how some of these guys played. Because I was having a discussion the other day. Actually, it was with Matt Anderley. I don't know if you guys know Matt. He played for Minnesota. Actually, both basketball and football. And Matt was like, "Well, if Jordan's the best, how do you know? Like, did you go back and watch Wilt and Kareem in their prime?" And I'm like, "That's a good point." So I did go start watching Wilt Chamberlain game. Unfortunately, I watched him in his retirement year, so that wasn't a good example. I got to try some more. But like, as I say that, as I have to go back and watch Russell and Chamberlain and Kareem in their prime, I hope that entices people to go see how good Jordan was. Because, dude, every single possession, the fight that guy had, like, that is where he separates himself from everybody else. Now, I know everybody picks at championships, and that's kind of the barrier that people have. But for me, the barrier of Michael Jordan is the possession by possession by possession work. Now, people bring up LeBron because everybody wants to bring up the modern day person. Like, this is our era. This is our guy. He's the best for our group. And that's fine. But like, to pretend that LeBron gives the same defensive possession by possession effort on D that Jordan did is a joke. It's a joke. It's not even in the same universe. That's why Jordan was a defensive player of the year. And like, that is where, going back and seeing those games, that is where there's a separation, and I hope people go back and do that. And it's enticed me to go back and want to see Kobe, especially lately.
When I said I couldn't watch a whole game, I meant of Kobe. Like, I still can't watch an entire game. They have those games on TV. I can't watch it after a certain point because I just can't believe he's gone. Even tough watching the highlights, to tell you the truth. I mean, watching those clips of him and Michael together. I mean, I remember that time when they both were there playing each other. And Jordan was definitely not in his prime, but Jordan still could give him the fadeaway and talk trash to him and try to D him up. And I mean, that to me, that was, there was the golden era in basketball. Like, for me growing up, obviously, like in the early 90s, when, I mean, I show my son now, he's like, man, there's so many great players back then. And there were. I mean, there's big men, there were guards, right? There were scorers. I mean, we had it all. And I feel like that time when Kobe and he had KG and Duncan, and then Jordan was still there, that was like another.
All the big guys were still there.
Yeah, that was another golden era for me. Like in the late 90s when you still had Jordan. I mean, some people forget, like, Jordan retired in 2003, I believe, right?
Right.
So
I mean, he was still playing in the 2000s. So like, I think that's why kids now are saying that they still know Jordan, because he was still playing into the 2000s. And then obviously he's been a part of basketball ever since. But RJ, you talked about like his on-court dominance. I think what sets him apart is what you can't measure by even looking back at film and all that is what he did off the court to become an icon. Like, that was the era when you just became like more than just a basketball player. Like, he had the commercials, right? He had the shoes. He had like all that stuff just added to put him at a different level than everybody else. Even when he still hadn't won the championships that Magic and Bird had, I think he obviously surpassed them in popularity, And for me, I didn't like necessarily the guy everybody liked. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be like Mike during that time because I always liked the underdog. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you too. I've always been the same way. My favorite football team is the Cleveland Browns. Come on now.
I was more of a Barkley guy, man. I like Barkley saying I'm not a role model. I'm like, I dig that,
I just like Jordan because, as I said before, I felt sorry for him in 1985, 86. And that was where it started for me. It was a stroke of luck that my favorite player growing up became as good as he was.
Also, being from the Midwest, that makes it easier to pick up a team from Chicago. Of course, I was living in Oklahoma when Michael Jordan was emerging into dominance, and my favorite teams were my hometown team, the Lakers. And then living in Tulsa, I was a big John Starks fan because he was from Tulsa. So the Knicks were my other team. They were my Eastern Conference team. Man,
where did he play college ball?
What's up?
Where did John Starks play college ball?
He
played for like a small like Division II or NAIA team, right, or something like that.
Yeah, he was like a community college transfer to OSU, and then, Yeah, man. I went to John Stark's first basketball
I had that
camp
poster. I think I had that poster when he
of the
was.
dunk.
Yeah, I had that poster.
And when Michael
Yeah.
Jordan is beating up on your favorite players, your favorite teams, like I
Yeah.
hated Mike. I hated Mike when I was a kid. So this is actually kind of watching The Last Dance now for me is a cool opportunity to root for the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even when you were rooting against him, it was because he was so good. It was because he was so good.
No, see, to all my friends, I said, man, you guys like Jordan. I hate him. I hate him. You know, he's too good. And then I sit back and watch like Come Fly With Me, like, you know, and all these
opening
videos.
credits of Space
And
Jam are some of the best moments of film of all time. Just showing the highlights of Michael Jordan to the music, and it's like, the dude was a movie star. He was the first NBA movie star.
For me,
the Bulls intro gives me chills.
Still,
dude, for me, the first two big ones were Michael Jordan's Playground. If you remember, if you guys saw that, it was kind of like this little acting thing where this guy wanted to make his high school team. And the other one was the first NBA Superstars. I remember
that one, yeah.
The whole video, the songs that go with it, everything from NBA Superstars. I think that's actually where my first basketball love came from. That and, watching family members do play basketball as well. So that's kind of where my first love came from. But Jordan took it into the stratosphere.
Yeah, Come Fly With Me was my video.
Yeah, Come Fly With Me got rewound, played and rewound and played and rewound.
Well, the great thing is you get to see players that didn't grow up with Jordan. Like the Gophers have a recruit from Chicago that they just signed from Western Michigan, a grad transfer, Brandon Johnson, and he's from Chicago, and he was born, right around the time that Jordan, basically was going to retire. And he talks about, like, it's a funny story. He said that his parents, when he used to watch Jordan with his family, like as a toddler, he would actually like get quiet. Like he'd be yelling and screaming. And then as soon as they put the Bulls on, he'd actually be quiet and start watching it. Even he didn't even know what he was watching, but he was a Bulls fan before he even knew who Michael Jordan was. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I just like to see the younger generation, like I said, who didn't grow up with him, have as much admiration. Because you see, like, even Daniel Turu and Gophers, center, and all these guys, like, they'll post stuff on social media, and they have crazy respect for Michael Jordan, even though, like, Kobe Bryant might be their Jordan, right? And LeBron, because they grew up with those players, but they still have the respect and admiration for Jordan. And I think that's what, like, ascends, to me, when you have the GOAT conversation. I mean, people will, Kareem, you have to look back at their accolades more than, like, actual footage of how they played and all this kind of stuff. You have to go by what other players say about them more than we have anything to really look at.
You mentioned this earlier. Doesn't Kareem kind of get overlooked anymore? Like, it seems like he's slowly drifting out of a lot of people's top fives, top tens.
It's a big man, though. I'm sorry to cut you off, RJ, but actually, I'm not sorry to cut you off.
Force.
Force. I could use it now. You can actually see me. Did it work? Did it work?
Speaking of the Force, like, you guys have Disney Plus. Star Wars Episode 9 is coming. Why couldn't it? Why do they got to do the May the 4th be with you thing? I want to watch that tonight. Why do I got to wait till Monday? Anyway, back to you.
No, but Kareem, I feel like, is a big man. Okay, Shaq. I think we have enough footage of Shaq that you can just see him dunk all over guys, and then you appreciate that. But Kareem was a finesse player, pick and rolls, dunking. I mean, we just don't have the appreciation for big men that were more finesse than anything. How many clips do we have of Kareem dunking on guys? I can remember one where he dunked on Bill Walton. That's like in my memory, I mean, that was from highlights, and that's about it. I think of his skyhook. I mean, how many hook shots do you see in the game today? That guard for Michigan.
Zero.
That's why you gotta go back and try to see some of this. Like, that's one of my goals for this summer. The amazing thing about watching Wilt Chamberlain in a game, like, I can't believe how big he is. Like, I didn't realize how big. Like, his legs were like
Will Chamberlain?
I am, yeah. He's
Yeah.
so big. I had no idea he was that big and moved that well. But the weird thing about watching defense, like in that 73 or 72 championship game I was watching, they just move different in terms of the athletes are different, which I'm sure they are to a degree. But like the way they were taught to play defense is so different. It's like, whoa. Like everywhere, it was kind of like a hop along. It wasn't like a defensive slide. It was so weird. So the other guy I want to see, by the way, is Oscar Robertson. I want to know how good Oscar Robertson was. Like, I feel like if I'm going to tell people that my Mount Rushmore, if I'm going to tell people what my Mount Rushmore is, I need to go back and see those guys play.
It's hard. The video.
That's
what kind of video you get? What quality of video you get from back then, though?
It's NBA TV always goes back and shows old games.
Yeah.
So you have that. You look at what's going to come up with that, and then a lot of their games go on YouTube. So they say NBA's greatest games, and it's on YouTube. It's not actually that hard to find.
Yeah, but like I said, I think the quality of video back then, it's hard to truly get a sense. It's hard to get a sense of how good these guys are from video back then, because it's just, to me, like, as far as I go back, is like the 70s.
Dude, it's not like Red Grange and Babe Ruth and Jim Thorpe. It's the late 60s and early 70s. They had TVs.
I know they did.
You can watch color TV.
To me, like the 70s is about as far as I go watching video of the guys.
If you refuse
to go back and watch.
But if you look at,
if you go back any further, like before the modern NBA, like the sophistication of the game isn't there. Like what RJ's talking about with the way that they move and the way that they understand the game, not to mention the way the rules have changed. That's why I think Mike is so unique, and Kareem too. And something I wanted to talk about, mention with Kareem is like, you don't know how difficult the skyhook is until you go out to the court with the ball and try to do what he did flawlessly. Like that skyhook is not an everyday shot. He was surgical with that shot.
Let's put it this way. The only guy that I've seen that do it in the college game is Simpson for Michigan, the point guard for Michigan. He's the only one that I see even try the skyhook. That shows you how extinct that shot is.
So hard.
And if you're
it's extinct like the underhand free throw, like
or the mid-range jumper.
It's way harder. I mean, people talk about a baseline jumper is kind of hard and difficult. Well, go ahead and try to throw it with perfect hook. Like
when you're back to the basket and turn, no, too hard.
I know one guy who could do it. Where is he? This guy right here, Billy Hoyle, could do this hook shot. I know that.
Wherever he wants, he can put it wherever he wants.
But I mean, to me,
shooting the sedan. Is that what he said?
The video discussion, you can't get a sense. You can't get a sense of their athleticism, is what I'm trying to say. Like the video just back then, it wasn't good quality enough for me to get a sense of their athleticism, their size.
Like you can't do. Like you watch the guy run up the floor and vault after a block shot. You could see Wilt's athleticism, no doubt.
I mean, the dude was like a triple jumper. It was like a long jumper.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and he's huge. I know. I'm looking forward to watching Bill Russell, too. Like, that might be black and white, by the way.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, the GOAT conversation is just it's gonna go on and on and on. People are not gonna appreciate LeBron and Kobe in 10, 15, 20 years. There's gonna be somebody else coming up. I mean, Zion right now, to me, he's a different kind of cat. But I keep telling you, that's Charles Barkley to me. If he loses like 20 pounds, he could end up being similar to Charles Barkley. He would be lucky and fortunate to have a career like Charles Barkley had.
He'd be lucky to have a career like Charles Barkley.
I don't know. I mean, you could have a GOAT conversation, like I said, for any sport. I think basketball is different, though, because Michael Jordan, I think, is the GOAT of all sports to me. The Michael Jordan of this, the Michael Jordan of that. Like, he doesn't get compared to just the NBA players or basketball players. He gets compared to, like, every sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, people don't say Babe Ruth anymore. They say Michael Jordan.
You're not going to say the Will Chamberlain of like golf or hockey. I mean, it just.
Unless you had sex with a lot of hockey sticks.
I'm trying to picture that. I don't.
Dude, Michael Jordan is in the conversation with like greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, Babe Ruth, like that type of discussion. Like that's where no one is in Michael's level right now. yes, it's my era. Yes, I get that. And I know, oh, what about our era? What about that? Well, I'm watching your era too. And I'm telling you, Michael Jordan is not in that, is beyond that. And I'm glad that people are getting a chance to see that right
Bob Cousy
now.
is not a logo. I'm sorry. John Havlicek is not a logo. The Jumpman is a logo. Drake didn't write songs about Bill Russell.
Are you talking?
He went culture too.
No, I mean, can you believe though that The Last Dance would not be? We wouldn't be watching it right now. We'd have to wait till June if it wasn't for the lack of any sports going on right now.
Right.
I mean, that's all we have. And we had the NFL draft, right? And now we have The Last Dance. I mean, that's
and
pretty
we
much
stuck to the NFL draft like it was the greatest. But for me, this has been good because I've had a chance to go watch a lot of high school talent from the winter, watch a lot of games. So I've been putting it in there. I've been looking at a lot of, like, I'm getting a better chance to go see go back and watch some of the college basketball. Like, guys are going to be drafted, some of the better games. For me, that's how I've replaced it. I don't think some people want to go back and watch old games, and I agree. Like, the NBA playoffs is the best basketball in the world. Like, that's the best at the best, competing at their hardest, and I miss the NBA playoffs tremendously. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they're not giving up hope on having some type of season. It'll just how is that going to work? It'll be interesting.
You test all the players, okay? Then you put them in, Vegas, Orlando, what have you.
Disney World?
Yeah, Disney World.
Let's go.
No fans. You got no fans, and just broadcast it, and man, that thing will explode.
Dude, it's going to be, like, you could do it too, because it will, if it's healthy enough, everybody will watch. I mean, we don't need fans to watch the Lakers play the Clippers. We're going to watch it, and we're going to be glued to it.
Guess who's going to be on the Clippers bench on their roster? Amir Coffey.
Yeah, is he going to make a playoff roster?
Yeah, toward the end of his that run this year with them, he was actually playing on their NBA roster a lot more than he was in the G League.
But they were a very unhealthy team, and they're going to come back, if they come back, a very healthy team.
Yeah.
No, they had a chance. I was talking to Amir's dad, and he said that they were talking about putting him on the playoff roster. Doc Rivers loves him, and yeah, Doc Rivers loves him. You talk about all-time Lakers players. Your boy is with them now, which I don't think.
Zubats?
I don't think. What's that?
Zubats?
No, the logo.
Oh, what is he? Is Jerry West like consulting? He's not there in any real official capacity, is he?
Yeah, he is. He is. I forgot what his official tag is, but he's the one that really is, in the draft process. He's right there trying to get the next trying to find the next Kobe Bryant. But
Imani Bates. That's the next Imani Bates. Don't look too hard.
I'm a little I don't know. I feel like he's getting too much publicity.
Well, he's the best one that's available. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but right now he's got the best chance to be a superstar of all of them. Did they say
that about Jalen Green?
Maybe, but didn't they say that about LeBron? And he was.
LeBron was almost 20 years ago. I want to talk to you guys about that. The G League guys leaving straight to the G League, because that kind of, I don't know. I get irritated a little bit because, I wanted to see Jalen Green in college. I wanted to see some of these guys, that had a chance to be one and done, be in college. But now, I think they've set another, trend now that you're going to see maybe some of the top 5, maybe even top 10 players in the country just go straight to the G League, get, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. And they won't exactly be playing in the G League. They're playing on the select team that, people are saying, how are these guys going to compete against men, that are trying to, to make it in pro basketball? Well, they're not. They're going to be playing games that don't count in the standings. They'll be playing games against maybe teams from the overseas. They're just trying to develop these guys and have them under the NBA, umbrella instead of going overseas, right? I mean, LaMelo Ball went overseas, and
I just don't know how it's gonna work. Like, it's nice that these kids can get paid, but like they're gonna go somewhere. No one's gonna go watch them play. It's not gonna be something that people is gonna go watch.
No, you don't think people watch them play?
No, because EYBL.
Well, obviously they can't right now.
But
can't right now,
EYBL comes to towns and gets a smaller crowd than high school games do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that people don't want to watch talent. People do want to watch talent. But, like, remember when the NBA Summer League used to come here? All the rookies would be there. It still wouldn't even get that big a crowd in the Target Center. Why? Because there was no attachment. Like,
So
why do people go to high school basketball games? It's not just because of the players. There's an attachment. That's why they want to go watch the Gophers. That's why they want to go somewhere there's attachment. If these kids are playing on a team, like me and you, us three will go watch the diehards, but it's not going to get the casuals because there's no attachment to it. They don't care.
these G League cities, okay, the teams in those cities, they get fans. I don't know how many fans.
Those do, but you're talking about a team that's not even going to be like they're just like a traveling practice team.
No, but they'll go and play in some of these cities with G League teams. They're going to go to, like, LA. Well, they'll be based in LA, I think. So they'll go to LA, they'll go to Vegas, they'll go to areas where they'll be able to draw some fans. But I don't think it's really about drawing fans. It's
development, yeah.
But it's about the NBA having their hands on these kids instead of having them go overseas.
And I'm good with that because watching, like, as much as I like having the talent in college basketball, the elite players right now are young and a lot of them aren't consistent. Like, as much as I enjoyed watching Anthony Edwards, the last game I watched him, he had one basket. Nico Mannion, I've seen him Arizona play 3 times this month, and Nico Mannion is good, but he's not consistent. Like, all these top names, most of them aren't consistent. Like, but so
they're on the wrong teams too. I mean, I think if those guys are on teams where they have better veteran leadership, and better coaching. I'm not I'm trying to call out Tom Crean and Sean Miller, although, Sean Miller obviously.
You might be.
No, I mean, Sean Miller obviously has a lot going on there, other than producing one and dones. But I think that if you look at the college game, I'd like to see the one and done still there. But at the same time, we know that is going to obviously the name of the show is one and done. But I think pretty soon, the next few years, you're going to see that group of players not only just go to the G League, you're going to see them get a chance to go straight to the NBA. The reason why this G League thing, I think, is going to start to become a trend is because I think the NBA and the NBA Players Association are pushing back. What I've heard, they're pushing back that date for these guys to go straight to the NBA out of high school, which that kind of ticks me off because I think they should already have that right. But I'm hearing it's going to be even 2024, 2025 even.
Wow.
That's a shame because I think Imani Bates, you mentioned him, he should be able to go straight to the NBA.
Yeah, probably.
Now he's going to go to the G League.
It's tough to have a super strong opinion on it right now. It's just they're so young and they're still maturing. It's tough to know exactly what you should do with a young man who's 19 years old and probably should be profiting off his ability because the colleges will be. So maybe he should be getting something. But I don't know but will he have the best coaching in the G League? I don't know. Like, there's a little bit of uncertainty to there. And it's just like, they have to develop. They need time to develop. And unfortunately, college isn't for everybody. Like, people want to get upset about the fact that, like, well, he needs to be this type of student. Some of these dudes don't want to be students. But the way it's set up, like, if you're a football player or a basketball player, because those businesses are so big, you've had to go to college. You don't have another option. You have to go to college. Well, some of these people, like, there's a lot of jobs you shouldn't have to go to college for. But for their job, they have to. So then people are surprised when, like, this guy was cheating or he didn't do good in class or he couldn't get out of bed or, like, wanted to go shoot instead of going to class. Like, don't be surprised. A lot of these guys, that's their profession, and you force them to go to college to do that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I am kind of happy there is the G League. I just don't know. I'm just not convinced that it's going to work great.
No, I agree.
The NBA, though, will make the adjustments and find a way. I think if there's a progressive league, a professional sports league in America, it's the NBA. My question is, how is the NCAA going to respond? Like, what are they going to do? Like,
well, they already have.
Say, well, okay, but to say players are going to profit from their likeness or whatever is one thing, right? But if the players don't come to play in the NCAA, then, like, what's their next move? You know what I mean? If the players continue to go to the G League or to seek out the best offer, which is what a professional does, like, what does the NCAA do then? Do they just lean on their history, or what's
there's only so much you can do, right? So this week they obviously decided that the name, image, and likeness, that they're going to move forward with that, right? What does that really mean? Who knows? It's early in that process. The next step to me is just giving as many rights to the athletes as you can, right? So I don't know why they won't do it this year. I think there's a lot of like logistics involved with the one-time transfers, but that's another thing that you give more rights to the athlete. So if he goes somewhere his first year and it just doesn't work out, like coaches can move anytime they want, you allow that athlete at least one time to transfer somewhere. Maybe it's a better opportunity for him because everybody wants obviously to get to the next level, right? So maybe it's a better opportunity for them, playing time, location, coach, whatever, to get to that next level. So you just give them more opportunities, as many opportunities as you can. For me, I think and I don't know if RJ brought it up today, but to me, I think the best thing that the NCAA can do is make it so that athletes that are from a certain area can profit off their likeness. So what you'll see is like maybe a kid coming out of Minnesota, you have Fortune 500 companies here, okay? Maybe he stays home instead of going to Duke or North Carolina because here in Minnesota, he might have an opportunity to make more money off his likeness than he would if he went to Duke when they have like 5 guys that will go be one and done.
That's a really good point.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm not saying Chet Holmgren will do this, I hope he does. Chet, think about it. If that opportunity is there.
It's going to be interesting when you got dudes running down the court with high V written on their arm. It'll be weird.
No, but to me, if you have a chance to go to the G League and make $400K, but you also have a chance to stay in college and maybe stay in your hometown, play in front of your friends and family, lead them to a championship, but also make, I don't know how much money they're going to throw at these guys, but makes, some kind of money. I think that'll be enticing for players as well.
It'll be enticing for players, but they're not going to throw – they'll throw big money at Jalen Green, okay? They're not going to throw big money at the 31st ranked prospect, and they're not going to do that. And most likely those – I could see the best of the best going pro, but I don't think it's going to go very deep because there's just – most people aren't going to be ready for that in a lot of ways. Mental maturity, physical maturity. Some are going to want actually a degree. Like some people still might want a degree. What if
I'm just scared if they start if they have instead of one team, select team, maybe they have 6 teams at one point. Because bottom line is, like you said, RJ, a lot of these kids don't want to go to school.
They don't.
If you give them a chance to play basketball and make money, I mean, if you have 6 teams and maybe you're paying the top guys in that group $400,000, but you're paying the guys on the short end, 20, 30, 40K. I mean, that's more than, I'd take that and play basketball rather. I'm not saying me personally, but, some guys will want to take that instead of going to school.
Some guys still do that in smaller leagues around the international.
Right.
31 years old, making $18,000 a year. It's tough to look in the future, but you can't give that many guys that much money if you're not bringing in any money. And I just don't see these random teams going around making that much money. Now, there are a few G League teams. It's been a success, but it's not monster success. You know what I mean? It's not minor league baseball because minor league baseball is completely different. It's not that people are going to a ballpark to a Class A game to watch the talent as much as they are just to be outside, just to go get a beer, it's the atmosphere of the baseball park that draws the people as much as it is the players. Nobody gets excited to go sit in a raggedy gym, and watch with 400 other people. Guys,
not here in Minnesota. Here in Minnesota. We got too much going on here in Minnesota.
Nobody in Mississippi is jumping in the car to go watch a team they're not affiliated at all.
I gotta look up the G League attendance at some of these.
Aren't all of the G League teams affiliated with NBA teams though?
Yeah, so that's why
they have the financial support and means, and not to mention the accessibility. Like you're in a G League team, you're playing for a coach who works for the head coach of the organization, right? Like there's probably some structural advantage just to being a part of a G League organization, which is a part of a professional basketball team, and you're in that network, and you don't have to abide by the NCAA rules, or there are limitations on who you can speak with. Like there's got to be some advantage to that. And the monetary investment is really just for a team. It's not so much, in making money. Obviously, you want to make money, but it's in the control, right? It's in the control that you have over a player who would otherwise be playing at Duke.
So obviously these guys are not playing. They're not affiliated with a certain team. This is a select team that's separate from the G League's teams that are affiliated that exist, right? Yep. So it's the NBA actually coming together as a whole, and giving the money to these guys.
So it's these aren't affiliates of like the Lakers or the.
No, they're not, because these guys are going to be drafted. After this year, these guys are going to be drafted. They're going to be eligible for the NBA draft next year.
That's why I don't think the pool of money they're going to give to guys is going to be that huge. I don't think they're going to give much money to a guy who's the 51st ranked player in the nation.
Well, it's an experiment. Who knows what's going to happen.
Ooh, and speaking of experiments, how about the waiver rule?
Oh, man.
That's not looking so good right now around here, is it? Oosh.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for this kid, right? We're talking about Drew Peterson, the Rice transfer, who committed to the Gophers on Monday, and then he decommitted on Friday. I think that if you look at the situation, right, when he committed.
It's like a Hollywood marriage, man.
Yeah, there was a good chance, probably, right? He thought there was a good chance that the one-time transfer rule was going to be passed, like, later this month in May, and he would be a Gopher not having to go through the waiver process. I think he thought about, like, hey, that's a possibility, but when I talked to him, it seemed like he said, hey, I talked to Coach Pitino, and he said that, there's a possibility of me sitting out, that I'll be comfortable with that. But then all of a sudden the NCAA comes out and they say the Division I, board of presidents and chancellors and all these guys, they say, hey, we don't want to deal with the one-time transfer rule right now and making a decision. We recommend that there's no decision on changing the transfer rule. So even before they're voting on it, they're already saying that it's not gonna pass.
Well, I hope the waiver staff through all colleges about the waiver requests they're about to get, I hope they like quadruple it, because they're the most amazing amount of waiver requests across all sports that they've ever seen.
And what everybody's gonna say the same thing.
Yep.
Because of COVID-19, the problem is people are transferring places where it's not even close to home. Some people are transferring where you're closer to home where you played than where you're transferring to. So, what is the reason for it? The main reason is a lot of these guys, obviously, they want to challenge themselves at a higher level. They're looking for more playing time, what have you. But I think that in each situation, you have to consider COVID-19 being, tougher on a guy, even tougher to deal with when you're at a place that you're unhappy. You know what I mean? Like if you're having to deal with, even if say you're closer home, if you're on a team where you're not playing or you're unhappy and you're struggling, maybe with the coach, with the teammates, with just school, why not have them be in a better spot for all of that, for their mental health? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't see how they can deny any waivers, really. I mean,
I don't see how they can either. And I mean, the first thought that goes through your head with Drew Peterson is, oh, well, maybe he goes to Northwestern or Wisconsin or something that's a little bit closer to where his parents live in, north of Chicago. But then, like you said, like, you're right. Like, if this guy feels more comfortable somewhere, how do you deny him that? I don't know how they could be able to deny a lot of these requests. And you wonder if they will. You wonder if they're just going to stamp go on a lot of them. Man, it's so odd, and who knows? Maybe they won't even have to. We don't even know if the season's going to start on time. So,
yeah, that's the scary part, Ryan, is that people are talking about COVID-19 obviously completely being eradicated. It'll take maybe 2 years, just to get a vaccine that we can deal with this on a global scale. And what do you do if you return to? Right now, it doesn't look like there'll be a football season. Right, I don't know how to be a
football season.
A college football season.
It's going to be. It's just going to be delayed. There's no way.
No, I mean, in the fall, though. I mean, when are we going to play? That's the thing. I mean,
I agree. I hear what you're saying, but then again, you turn on the news and everything. This over here, they're shutting the parks down, and over here in this state, everything's free. Everybody gets to roll and do whatever. So I don't know. Like it's so uncertain. Like how, like for example, they're talking about Iowa. On June 1st, Iowa is getting back to doing all the football things that they were planning on doing. Okay,
Wait till
so
July
like they're
1st.
gonna have practices and stuff and such there, but yet in another state it's shut down. Like I don't know how. Like it's impossible to plan for something. Like I don't
Because
believe
if you
college
need
football start on
one
time. But it's hard
unifying
to plan.
body to oversee everything and to make it all come together, as opposed to all of these individual bodies.
It's tough though. It's tough because it's state by state. You know, the governor obviously Walz has come out and said that the stay-at-home order is going to be, you know, still right now. It's what is it, May 4th, I think,
It'll be
coming up
May
here.
18th.
No, they stretched it to the 18th.
Oh, they stretched 18th. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so, you know, obviously, when it comes to the 18th, he's probably going to stretch it maybe a little bit more. We're seeing like some of these states, they've maybe hit their peak. Others, you know, we're still waiting for that. I'm sure in Minnesota, we haven't reached that yet. But I don't know. I feel like, okay, college football to me it would be the biggest mistake, right? If you came together too soon because of the size of the crowds, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you had a football game, obviously at first it would be with no fans. But the whole reason why you make money in these you know games is because of the fans. I mean, can you imagine? They probably sell out.
Yeah.
The Gophers would probably sell out this year.
I think you have to assume
Kinda
that if there is
based on the
going
season
to
they
be-
had last year.
I think you have to make the assumption if there's going to be a college anything, that there's going to be school, right? So
That's a good point.
is
And I don't think
there
that
to be a school year, you know what I mean, where students aren't distance learning. And if that's the case, it seems even more improbable that
Yeah.
But
they're
yet
having.
But yet I fully expect the NFL the second weekend of September to be playing because everything there is TV rights. You know, but then again, who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows? Like, who knows what the Gophers is going to be like next year? Who knows?
you know
What do you think?
what I love about the Gophers football team is that PJ Fleck is coming out and he's you know on social media he's kind of being visible and supporting everyone that are on the front lines of this virus. My wife is a nurse, and right now she isn't working as much because she works for children's. But a lot of these nurses that her colleagues are out there, and they're risking their lives every day. It's just crazy that that we're in this situation. But it's awesome to see PJ Fleck do it. Obviously, different coaches around college basketball have come out and they supported people that are risking their lives every day. We want to be a distraction for people, right? As sports writers, as people who cover the game, and we sit back and we're like, man, this is really happening. We don't have any sports to cover. What do we talk about?
Yeah.
But Ryan and I obviously have a lot to cover with recruiting. I mean, it's tough when you talk to some of these players. I don't know if you've talked to them as much as watch them on videos, old videos, but when you talk to them and they don't have like a spring AAU season, and they're probably not going to have a summer AAU season, it's tough that some of these kids who thought maybe they'd explode and get a bunch of offers are not going to get that opportunity.
Well,
so it's sad for some of these.
The number one example of that is Will Tchetter at Stewartville. Okay. Like, there's guys that are starting to get offers here and there, and Will has abundance of offers. But Will Tchetter is good enough to play high major basketball. I'm telling you, it's clear as day. That said, like, he's from southern Minnesota and plays 2A basketball teams down there. That he didn't play in the EYBL and such last year. So therefore, like, schools are kind of like, well, I don't know. Like, they're looking at his tape, and they played some good teams. Some D1 kids he went against in the post, and you could see it. It's clear as day. But like, because he's not out in the open period, they're skeptical. I know Oregon State, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, and Minnesota are sitting there waiting, but they want to see him play. Well, if he can't play, is he ever going to get that opportunity? So therefore, out in Fort Collins, Dave Thorson and Nico Medved are just like, yes, let's go. Don't touch him. Don't touch him. They bring him out to Colorado State. But like, Will Tchetter is a high major player, and he can't play. And there's more guys that we could talk about with that. Like, there's a whole list of seniors that I've been talking about and watching for the past 2 weekends that aren't going to get that chance. Cade Haskins from De La Salle has got 3 D1 offers. How many would he have right now if he was playing with D1 Minnesota on the Adidas Gauntlet? If he has, okay, so they played Minnehaha Academy, and I showcased that game 2 Friday nights ago. That'd be 3 Friday nights ago, actually. My bad.
What is time?
15 days ago.
What is a
15
Friday?
days ago, right?
Is this
And
Saturday
dude-
or Sunday or? I don't know.
No.
Yeah. Dude hit these threes all over Prince Alegbe and whoever else was guarding him on that talented D1 roster of Academy. He does that in an Adidas game, boom, he blows up. You got high major offers, and he doesn't get that chance. And there's guys I could keep going on and on. Tyrese Willingham at Wasika. He's getting D2 football and basketball offers, and they're all sitting there thinking, yes, no one's gonna see him. And this dude's a 6'5", 6'6" athletic dude who plays point guard, plays the wing, guards fours, guards point guard, shoots the ball really well. He's a lefty, he's athletic as hell, and but he's from Wasika. So, and he didn't play AU in the past. So therefore, nobody gets to see him yet. And that's another kid. And those are examples of what, they're not getting that opportunity right now. And that sucks.
And then there's
And they
guys
also
like
didn't get- I add one more thing. They
Yeah.
also didn't get a chance to do that at the state tournament, which is another place where college coaches come and watch. So, instead of having a state championship and a Final Four at state and the group of 8, they didn't get that chance either. And that's a place. So that hurt some seniors that could have been playing in front of people. Agua Wish from Austin would have had that chance. Noah King's going to a junior college. Noah King is a D1 talent. He was committed to a D1 school, but he didn't want to go there anymore, and he got out of his letter of intent. Well, now he didn't get a chance to go play the spring because he was going to play some tournaments this spring, and he didn't get to play at state tournament, and he was the Class AA Player of the Year. He didn't get that chance. Now he's going to a junior college in Iowa because he didn't get that chance, and that is where this has kind of ran into some problems for those kids. But I'm not saying they should have played or nothing. I'm just saying that's the unfortunate part of this.
Yeah, do you guys remember Chet Holmgren last year? I mean, this is on a different level, but the spring that he had, I know there's that one tournament, he averaged like 12 blocks a game or something. So he went from being like, a top 30 kid to being arguably the best player in his class.
Hold on. Prep Hoops had him up there before that, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
We did.
But yeah,
It
but
took
it's like
the rest of the world a little bit of time to come around.
But, Minnesota is a hotbed for hoops right now. Everybody knows that. But there's some players that have already committed, like a Trayton Thompson who's committed to the Gophers. He was looking forward to playing on the AAU circuit for D1 Minnesota, just showing people that he was the player that the Gophers hope that he can be, and, one of the best players in his class, but he played at a prep school in Indiana, and he didn't have the biggest stats in the world, but he did that for a reason. I mean, he obviously, wanted to get separated from, having he wanted to focus on his game. He wanted to focus on getting bigger, stronger. He wanted to play against better competition, and he has improved, right? And he has improved. So I think he was looking forward to. Yeah, he was looking forward to this summer. Just really showing people or showing Gopher fans, what they can expect hopefully in the future. So again, like this AAU season, it's not like in years past where we get the EYBL here, right? We get to see all the top players in the country play here in Minnesota. But there's so many good players here in Minnesota that I was really looking forward to going out and watching a lot of these young guys that I haven't seen too much during the high school season. I mean, and Kendall Brown, he was another guy that went to prep school, was not playing here in Minnesota this year. One of the top players in the class 2021 with Chet Holmgren. He was probably going to come back, right, and play AAU.
No, he was going to play for Mocan in the EYBL.
Okay, but we maybe get a chance to see him here a little bit if they came and played in Minnesota. So I don't know. I think that it's unfortunate that there's no AAU season.
Hasn't been one yet.
Yes.
Don't give up.
I don't want to give up.
Yet.
No, I don't want to give up. But what it's going to end up being probably what it's going to be in the fall. It'll be in the fall.
AAU season.
I don't. Maybe July or August.
When and where? Okay.
I'm just hoping. Don't stamp things down on everybody yet.
I'm trying not to be a dream crusher. I'm really trying not. I'm just trying.
Don't be a dream crusher. They want to play. And dude, like the number one facility in the Midwest right now is in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Like that thing's going to be open for usage. I don't know if they're going to have tournaments or not. We'll see. But I guarantee you, everybody out there that runs tournaments is trying to get in there right now.
Well, my son plays baseball. And I don't think he's going to have a baseball season. There's a lot of youth baseball organizations here in Minnesota are trying to tell Governor Walz that, hey, we need to try to get something together where we have a plan with social distancing with fans, distancing with players? Can we practice? Can we do something to try to get these kids, on the field? And, I'm feeling bad because I don't know if it's going to happen.
Seems like if any sport, baseball would be the one where it works. I mean, there's quite a bit of distance between players.
I don't know. It's hard. Like, you want to think about it, but you don't want to say something dumb. But like, you know what I mean? Like, what am I not thinking about? But like baseball, if you had them wear some type of protective mask, I mean, they're already wearing helmets. If you had a protective mask, could you do it? I don't know.
No, not really.
I don't know.
As hot as it's going to be out there, man, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Although they're so used to wearing like these ridiculous baseball outfits head to toe, maybe throw that on too. I don't know.
I don't see you guys. Do you have your masks around? I got one that's like a fatigue mask. I see that they have NBA logos now on masks.
Oh, I just bought some.
You did?
Should get them next week. Should get my Lakers
Sweet.
mask next week.
Sweet.
I don't need I just have I have the Under Armour running gear that just covers everything for the winter. I feel like that's good enough.
See a lot of people using those.
That works.
Yeah.
I was out shopping the other day and I was wearing mine and I had this elderly guy come up to me. He's like, "Where do you get that? Where do you get that?" I almost gave him mine. I should have gave him mine.
No, you don't have to do that.
Breathing in it all day.
Yeah.
No, I mean to wash it. He can go wash it and use it for himself later. No. I don't have the coronavirus for them. But but no, I mean I felt bad for him because like my wife had a mask made, from her friends. They made a bunch of masks for some nurses and like I have one, but a lot of people just they don't have access to it.
Yeah, it's hard to get a hold of them right now.
And to me, like the main thing for all these sports, especially the professional sports, is they're going to get their athletes tested. They have access to tests.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then for like youth sports, for AAU sports, for college sports, will they have access to testing all these athletes?
Well, they have to. The tests here in Minnesota, they're I think leading the country in ramping up and like accelerating the testing. But to what priority children are going to get on a respiratory virus that is really harmful towards our older population, like that it seems like they would be lower priority, even though as a parent, like the most important thing to me right now is to get my kid outside and playing with other kids. What do we do to get that done? I'm sure that's the case with so many parents, especially parents of athletes. Hopefully they're a strong lobby group that can really motivate our leadership to find some way to bring sports back. Just for the youth athletes, like they need it as much as we need jobs,
Yeah, I played one-on-one with my son so much that my knees are worn down now. I mean, you guys know that I had knee surgery last year, and I'm wearing 2 knee braces. I can't do it anymore. He's 10 years. He's gonna be 11 this summer, and he's already taken me to basket. I said, "Okay, you got the layup there, son."
Yeah,
I can't.
You just gotta
my lateral movement is just not there.
Your bad boy days are done.
I back him down, and I do the Jordan fadeaway. Which,
dude, can you imagine Marcus playing defense? Like, the legs don't move, but he's
like the dude's garden wilt.
Yeah.
Hey, I can take you, RJ. I don't know. Rob looks kind of quick though. He looks like he can handle the ball a little bit.
I'm not quick.
I'll post your ass up and crush you. But like, I jog in the mornings. It's so slow. My God, it's so slow. And I went up a hill this morning, and I'll bet I lasted 30 seconds where I was like, dude, hills are no joke. Hills are no joke. So our one-on-one game would have to be, because of your knees and my lack of stamina, we'd have to play to 3.
Big game of horse. Let's be
honest.
honest.
Yeah, horse. There you go.
Horse.
Or pig. I got you guys in pig.
Maybe we could set up a Zoom horse game or a Zoom game of pig.
There you go.
And battle this out as the
one and done pig
continues.
Yeah, I'll have my son play for me.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got the driveway shot pretty much down. So.
Well, is there something else we want to try to cover before we wrap up our first Zoom episode of?
Well, I just want to make sure that we tell everybody, stay safe. Hope everybody's safe. Wear your mask outside, right?
Yeah.
and
Wash your hands. Keep washing your
wash
hands.
your hands, yeah, and try to keep the social distancing, right?
Yeah.
My
We
hands,
got to do our part.
my hands are so cracked. It's insane.
Oh
Oh
man.
yeah.
Like,
Well, you can't tell, but yeah.
it's insane. Like I need like new special lotion. It's absurd.
My daughter grabbed my finger the other day, and my knuckle is so. This is a 3-year-old grabbed my finger, and I was just. It was merciless pain. It was just brutal.
That's a good word, merciless.
Merciless.
We gotta get. You guys gotta get some of your kids in this one, in the next one. I mean.
Yeah,
Well, Olivia's ran down here twice, and I had to go kick her out. But I probably could have brought her in.
my kid.
I am in their playroom right now. I suppose people they want to get to their Guardians of the Galaxy with Gamora and Rocket and Groot. Iron Man's over here flying around. I am in their playroom.
Yep. Like I said, I got the Dragon Ball Z. Ryan James doesn't know what that means, but
I do not.
I know Daniel Tour is a big fan.
Dragon Ball Z. They
I
just
got
they need a new name. Oh, I like that though.
Yeah, that's dope. That's super dope.
It was fun, boys.
Yeah, this was fun. Hopefully we can make this work and try to do it again.
Dude, we need to have an argument about. We've never done this before. We need to have our NBA top 10 and/or Mount Rushmore. That's something we all want to talk about.
Players?
That's what we need to discuss.
We're talking about players, right?
Oh yeah,
Players, yes.
for sure.
We need to come ready with our lists and discuss someday.
But you know what else you need to try? Try this. You could try this after this Zoom call. Try to have your top 10 players of all time that start with the first letter of your name.
Wow.
I tried this the other day and I thought, oh man, I got Michael Jordan, I got Magic Johnson,
yeah, that's not fair.
I got.
No, you don't get Magic. His first name is Irvin.
No, Magic. We know him as Magic.
No. The E's need a name.
No way.
Irvin is there.
When you see his name on lists,
You can't
on
take
a top 10 list, it's
you
Magic
can't take
Johnson.
all of them.
Okay.
Okay, well then you don't get Michael because his nickname is Air.
I like that.
Ryan and I are gonna have the same list, so that's
No, I'm just saying though, like if I said Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, I was like, oh, Mark Price, I was like,
Michael Thompson,
Michael Thompson, yeah, I was like, oh man, it dropped off too far.
LeBron James.
Russell, then? Russell, Bill Russell. Do we get Russell for ours? I hope.
No, first name.
First name
It's
only.
tough. It's tough.
I can't even come up with anything rapidly right now.
Wilt
No,
Chamberlain.
but that.
Yeah, Wilt.
Rary Bird.
Very. So that's one to try on your.
Robert Parrish.
Robert
we got a
Parrish.
center. We got a center.
Nice.
Who else
Rick
do we need?
But if you just looked up, if you looked up a list right now on your phone, just look up a top 50 list. You cannot find, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm like, what names are they? Like, I can't believe it. My son is Koa, and he's got like Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, I'm like, okay, you got me already. You got.
Yeah, he
You're
wins.
three of the best all time.
Dude, our list is
No,
our list is
all right.
spotty. This is ridiculous. I want to figure this out all.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. All right. Well, for Marcus and Ryan, I'm Rob. Hopefully this all posts to YouTube or to Twitter or something, and we can do it again. Thanks for catching the One and Done show. I thought he was gonna show us his crotch. What's that?
Yeah, that probably shouldn't be on there. Probably.